The game is against the Valkyries. Who had played for the Valkyries? Kate Martin. So people thought, they bought those tickets ahead of time thinking this is going to be a battle between Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin on the same court. And of course, that's going to sell tickets. Kate Martin is not on the Golden State Valkyries anymore. She's not with the team any longer.
Tickets sold for Friday's game against the Valkyries. More tickets than usual. Sounds great, right? Except there's a problem. Those fans bought tickets expecting to see Caitlin Clark face off against Kate Martin. They were buying a reunion game, a battle between former teammates on the same court. That was the draw. That was the product they paid for. Kate Martin isn't on the Golden State Valkyries anymore. She's gone. And the fans who shelled out money for that matchup, they had no idea until it was too late.
Play. I want to show you something. Let's start here before we get to the Indiana Fever's post. This is the game preview. Probable starters. Caitlin Clark is not listed. She's not there. Ty Harris is in the point guard position. Okay? So, right here, this was ESPN earlier today.
This is where it gets messy. ESPN's game preview goes up. Probable starters listed. Point guard position shows Ty Harris. Caitlin Clark's name is nowhere on that list. Not injured, not questionable, just absent. Then ESPN updates their injury report earlier that same day. Caitlin Clark listed as out for Friday's game against Golden State. Out. Not probable, not questionable, out.
Now again, I mean, we heard there's back stiffness, but there's not a back issue. So there's a back problem. So Caitlin Clark's got a back injury. Well, there's not a problem. Stiffness. Well, stiffness is a problem. Back spasms is a problem. Guys, don't let anybody blow smoke up your ass.
Now the Fever's official line starts shifting. Back stiffness, they say. But there's not really a back issue. Wait, there is stiffness. Okay, so there's a back problem. Actually, no, stiffness isn't really a problem. Back spasms, though, those are a problem. You see the game here? This is linguistic gymnastics. When your injury explanation requires this many qualifiers and contradictions, you're not explaining an injury, you're managing a narrative.
Game against Golden State. She is the only player on the injury report for Indiana. Here we go. The Indiana Fever status report for tomorrow's game versus Golden State. Caitlin Clark, probable, back. We're giving you a 75% chance that Caitlin Clark's going to play. Please buy tickets.
The Indiana Fever releases their official status report for Friday's game. One player listed on the injury report. Caitlin Clark, probable, back. Probable means 75% chance she plays. Probable means buy your tickets, she'll probably be there. This is the same organization that had her listed as out just hours earlier. Same back injury, same game, different message depending on who's asking and when they're asking it.
Because they were down 3,200 fans last night, and that's tickets not sold. How many actually showed up? There was empty seats freaking everywhere. And it's my understanding that people that were waiting to get in to buy tickets saw the news, and people literally turned around and walked off outside.
Here's the context that matters. The night before this announcement, the Fever played at home. Attendance was down 3,200 fans from capacity. Not just tickets unsold, but empty seats visible throughout the arena. Reports came in that fans waiting outside to buy tickets saw the news that Caitlin wasn't playing. Groups of people turned around and walked away. Didn't enter the building, didn't buy tickets, just left. The Fever watched their revenue walk out the door in real time.
By the way, I think there ought to be an investigation. The word has it, there may be an investigation. Yahoo Sports earlier reported the WNBA may investigate whatever in the hell went on with reporting the injury involving Caitlin Clark. What a
Yahoo Sports drops a report that the WNBA may investigate the Fever's handling of Caitlin Clark's injury announcement. The league has specific rules about this. Player availability must be submitted by 5 p.m. the day before the game. That's not a suggestion, that's a mandate in the rulebook. Caitlin Clark didn't practice on Tuesday. That should have been reported by Indiana on Tuesday evening. The team waited until minutes before tip-off on Wednesday to announce her injury. That's not a communication breakdown. That's a calculated decision.
Now trying to cover your tracks, traitor. A lot of you guys believe that she was suspended for the altercation between January and her, the assistant coach. God almighty, if they suspended her and that gets out, that leaks out, care to explain how, per Yahoo Sports, you may have violated the rules last night?
Think about what this means for the fans. You're planning your week. You buy tickets days in advance. You arrange childcare, take time off work, drive to the arena, pay for parking, buy concessions. You've invested time and money based on the reasonable expectation that the player you paid to see will be playing. Then 5 minutes before the game starts, you find out she's not even in uniform. You've been grifted. That's not too strong a word for it. You paid for a product you're not receiving, and the seller waited until the last possible moment to tell you.
I saw this article. That's the one I just mentioned. The Fever may have violated league rules with its decision to not play Caitlin Clark versus the Fire. League rules stipulate all matters relating to player availability must be submitted by 5 p.m. the day before. We talked about this. Unlike during back-to-backs. Clark did not practice on Tuesday, which should have been reported by Indiana. The team instead waited until just before the game to announce her.
ESPN updates their status again. Now Caitlin Clark is listed as a game-time decision for Friday. Not out anymore, not definitely probable. Game-time decision, that's the most ambiguous status possible. It means show up and find out. It means buy your ticket and hope for the best. Notice the pattern here. Every status update pushes fans toward buying tickets while giving the organization maximum flexibility to pull her from the lineup at the last second.
Nothing more. We wanted to sell tickets. We saw our tickets not selling. We're waiting till the very last minute. They grifted people, by the way. That's what the Fever did. You said she was out. Something else is happening here. Just because your management is stupid, that doesn't mean the fans are stupid also. This is ESPN right now. It updated. Caitlin Clark.
Here's what probable actually means in medical terms. It describes something likely to happen, expected to be true, supported by strong evidence though not 100% certain. When a team lists a player as probable, they're telling you to expect that player to play. 75% or higher chance. But after what happened Wednesday night, what does that word even mean anymore? If they'll list her as probable and then scratch her minutes before tip-off, the designation becomes meaningless. It's just a tool to sell tickets.
By the way, they're playing a better team tomorrow night than the one that they just beat, that Stephanie White's a hooping and a hollering over. They're playing a better team. So she is injured. Good to know. Hopefully this is not some kind of chronic back injury. Doesn't this mean she's definitely playing? Probable means it's pretty damn close to her.
The fan response tells you everything about where trust stands right now. Comments flooding the Fever's social media. That's BS. You did it last year and yesterday. Go F yourself. I don't believe anything you guys post anymore. These aren't casual fans complaining about a loss. These are paying customers who feel deceived, and they're bringing receipts. This isn't the first time. Last season featured similar situations where Caitlin's availability was handled in ways that maximized ticket sales while minimizing transparency.
Sure, Jan. You see, this is the thing. Looking at you, media. This is the thing. There's no trust between the fans after last year and what's going on right now. We wouldn't be questioning this stuff had we not went through last year. Probable describes something that is likely to happen, expected to be true, are supported by...
Now layer in the broader context. Caitlin Clark goes on a podcast recently and talks about her future with Indiana. She doesn't commit. She uses the word if when discussing signing her next contract with the Fever. not when, if. That's not normal language for a franchise player discussing their future. That's the language of someone keeping their options open. And when you combine that with how the organization has handled her injury status, you start to see why she might be hesitant to commit long-term.
Fingers crossed. This could have been done on Tuesday, by the way. I'm out too. F y'all. I'm so sure. Try not to F this up again. I don't believe anything you guys post anymore. People are pissed.
There's also the situation with the assistant coach. Reports of an altercation between Caitlin and January, the assistant coach. Some fans believe she was actually suspended for that incident, not injured at all. The organization denies this, but here's the problem with credibility. Once you've lost it, every explanation gets questioned. Every official statement gets scrutinized for what's not being said. The Fever created this skepticism through their own actions. You can't blame fans for being suspicious when you've given them reason to be suspicious. Here's what makes this situation significant beyond just one game or one injury report. This is about the fundamental relationship between a sports franchise and its fan base. That relationship is built on trust. Fans trust that when they buy tickets, the team will be honest about who's playing. They trust that injury reports mean something. They trust that the organization values their time and money. The Indiana Fever has systematically eroded that trust. Not through one incident, but through a pattern of behavior that prioritizes short-term ticket sales over long-term credibility. And once that trust is gone, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. Think about the mechanics of what happened Wednesday night. The Fever knew on Tuesday that Caitlin wasn't practicing. They knew she was dealing with back stiffness or spasms or whatever the actual injury is. They had the information required by league rules to file an injury report by 5 p.m. Tuesday. They chose not to. Why? Because filing that report means fans who haven't bought tickets yet will see it. It means people checking the injury report before purchasing will know she's questionable. It means fewer ticket sales. So they waited. They let fans buy tickets all day Wednesday believing Caitlin would play. They let fans arrive at the arena, go through security, buy concessions, find their seats, and then, minutes before tip-off, they announced she wasn't playing. That's not a communication error. That's a business decision. They chose ticket revenue over transparency. They chose short-term profits over fan trust. And they did it knowing full well they were violating league rules about injury reporting. Yahoo Sports reporting that the WNBA may investigate tells you this isn't just fans being upset. This is the league office recognizing that one of their teams may have violated the collective bargaining agreement. These rules exist for a reason. They protect fans from exactly this kind of manipulation. They ensure that people making purchasing decisions have accurate information. When the Fever waited until the last minute to announce Caitlin's absence, they didn't just inconvenience fans. They potentially violated their contractual obligations under the CBA. That's serious. That's the kind of thing that results in fines or loss of draft picks if the league determines it was intentional. Now look at Friday's game. The Fever announces Caitlin is probable. Fans who got burned Wednesday night are being asked to trust the same organization that just deceived them. Buy tickets for Friday. She'll probably play. Probably. 75% chance. Trust us this time. Except ESPN has her listed as a game-time decision. That's not probable. That's 50-50 at best. So which is it? Is she probable, or is she a game-time decision? The answer depends on who you ask and what they're trying to sell you. The Fever's official injury report says probable because that encourages ticket sales. ESPN, which doesn't have a financial stake in ticket sales, lists her as game-time decision because that's more accurate. This is the problem with credibility. When your official statements don't match reality, people stop believing your official statements. When your injury designations are contradicted by other sources, people stop trusting your injury designations. And here's the thing about beat reporters and media coverage. They're watching this too. Every reporter covering the Fever now has to question every official statement. Is this accurate information, or is this ticket sales messaging? When Stephanie White says something in a press conference, is that the truth, or is that what the front office wants fans to believe? That skepticism doesn't just affect fans, it affects media coverage. It affects how analysts discuss the team. It affects the Fever's reputation around the league. Other players notice when an organization treats its star player's injury status as a marketing tool. That matters when free agents are deciding where to sign. Caitlin Clark using the word if when discussing her future with Indiana suddenly makes a lot more sense. If you're a player and you see your organization lying to fans about your injury status to sell tickets, how does that make you feel? You're the one who has to face those fans. You're the one who has to do interviews and see the comments from people who feel deceived. The organization gets their ticket revenue and you get the backlash. Would you commit long-term to an organization that treats you like that? Would you trust them to have your back when things get difficult? Or would you keep your options open, use words like if instead of when, and see what happens when your contract is up? The Fever are playing a dangerous game here. They're prioritizing immediate revenue over the long-term relationship with their franchise player. They're betting that Caitlin will stay regardless of how they handle situations like this. But that's a bet, not a certainty. And if they lose that bet, if Caitlin decides she's done with the dysfunction and wants to play somewhere that treats her with more respect, the Fever will have no one to blame but themselves. This Friday's game becomes a test case. Will Caitlin actually play? If she does, will she play limited minutes? Will the Fever be honest about her status before the game, or will they wait until the last minute again? And most importantly, will fans trust them enough to buy tickets? The attendance numbers for Friday will tell us a lot. If fans show up in big numbers despite what happened Wednesday, the Fever will learn they can get away with this behavior. If attendance is down significantly, if fans decide they're not willing to risk getting burned again, the Fever will face real financial consequences for their lack of transparency. So here's the question. Should fans give them another chance? Should they buy tickets for Friday based on a probable designation from an organization that just violated league rules about injury reporting? Should they trust that this time the information is accurate, this time the team is being honest, or should they wait? Should they demand that the Fever earn back their trust through consistent, honest communication over multiple games? Should they make it clear that deceiving fans has consequences, that ticket sales are not guaranteed, that credibility matters? Because right now, the Indiana Fever are learning a hard lesson about trust. You can lose it in one night. You can destroy it with one decision to prioritize ticket sales over transparency. And once it's gone, you can't just issue a press release and get it back. You have to earn it, game by game, report by report, decision by decision. The question is whether the Fever understand that, or whether they think fans will just forget about Wednesday night and keep buying tickets regardless of how they're treated. What do you think happens next? Drop your take in the comments.